January 8th, 1945. Allied pilots scramble over Germany when something impossible flashes across the sky. A jet fighter with no tail, no propeller, and the radar signature of a bird. Intelligence officers call it the Hitler UFO. But behind this panic was the Horten Ho 229, a stealth aircraft that shouldn't have existed, born from Goering's order for 1,000 kilometres, 1,000 kilograms, at 1,000 kilometres per hour. Built in secret by two brothers, armed with jets and 30mm cannons, it was decades ahead of anything in the air. This documentary reveals how the Nazis' radical flying wing could have rewritten the future of warfare, and why its true legacy still shadows today's most advanced bombers. But how did the world's deadliest air war unleash a plane that never should have flown? 8 January 1945. Flight Lieutenant R.D. Wood, Royal Air Force, radios a message that will ripple through every level of Allied command. His voice is tight, clipped. Aircraft with no visible wings moving at impossible speed. The words hang on the static, then drop into the chain of command like a depth charge. Filter officers at RAF Fighter Command jot the report into the logbook, then pause. No wings, no tail. The radar returns, barely a blip, don't match any known Luftwaffe plane. The initial response is as old as war: pilot error, atmospheric mirage, stress, but the log is flagged. Within hours, the uncertainty grows teeth. By midnight, the report lands on the desk of an intelligence analyst. He reads the transcript twice, then files a memo to Bomber Command. Unknown German airframe, potential grave risk. The language is careful, but the implication is not. If the Nazis have a jet that fast, that invisible, the entire Allied bombing strategy is in question. In London, officers crowd around a wall of maps and intercepted signals, searching for patterns. The usual silhouettes, Messerschmitt, Fokker-Wulf, are pushed aside. Now every radar anomaly is a possible threat. Every unidentified echo could mean disaster. Within 48 hours, the memo stack multiplies. Urgent cables cross the Atlantic. American analysts at Wright Field scan for anything similar in their files. Nothing. The best guess is experimental, some new project, maybe a prototype. But the details don't add up. The speed is too high. The profile too strange. And then there's the radar signature, or rather, the lack of one. On paper, it reads like science fiction. A machine that appears and vanishes faster than anything the Allies can field. Inside Bomber Command, planners start to worry. The next daylight raid is already scheduled. If the Germans have even a handful of these, the cost in lives could skyrocket. The old rules, spot the enemy, outnumber them, overwhelm them, no longer seem to apply. The filter room is tense. Every new sighting, every unexplained blip is treated as a possible attack. For the first time, the question is not just what the enemy can do, but what they might have already built, hidden behind the fog of war. Reimer Horten was never satisfied with the old rules of flight. In his notebooks, the lines curve and sweep, no tail, no vertical fin, just a single, seamless wing. His brother Walter, a decorated Luftwaffe pilot, brought the edge of combat experience. Together, they set out to build something no one else dared, a machine that would make the air itself seem obsolete. The order came down from Hermann Goering in 1943. 3 numbers, impossible for the time. 1,000 kilograms of bombs, 1,000 kilometers per hour, 1,000 kilometers of range. The 3x1000 specification. Every established firm in Germany tried to solve it with more engines, bigger fuselages, heavier frames. The Horten brothers went the other way. They erased the fuselage. They erased the tail. Their answer was a flying wing, one smooth surface, every part contributing to lift, nothing left to drag or betray its presence on radar. In the workshops at Göttingen and later at Gotha, the brothers worked with wood, glue and steel tubing. Metal was scarce. The engines, twin Junkers Jumo 004s, were the same temperamental jets that powered the Me-262. But hidden inside the wing, they gave the Horten Ho 229 a silhouette unlike anything else in the sky. From above, it was a shadow. From the front, almost invisible. The design was more than a technical gamble. Most German engineers dismissed the flying wing as unstable, impossible to control at speed. Reimar saw only the purity of the idea: less drag, more lift, higher speed. He believed the future belonged to shapes that worked with the air, not against it. Walter, shaped by the brutal arithmetic of air combat, saw a chance to outrun Allied fighters and anti-aircraft guns, to strike and vanish before anyone could react. Their prototype would carry 30mm cannons and bombs inside the wing, with nothing exposed to slow it down. Every decision, every curve, served the goal of efficiency and speed. The result looked alien, even to Luftwaffe officials. But on paper, it promised to deliver exactly what Goering demanded: a jet fighter that could change the course of the war, if only it could be built in time. The Horten brothers' vision turned a theoretical threat into a real project. In the final months of the Third Reich, this radical machine would become the most coveted secret in German aviation. A prototype that would soon draw the eyes of every intelligence agency on the continent. 18th February 1945. The Horten program stands on the edge. Erwin Ziller, test pilot, straps into the V2 prototype for what will be its final flight. The engines cough to life, both Junkers Jumo 004s straining against the limits of wartime maintenance and desperate improvisation. Takeoff is rough. Moments later, sharp pop. One engine flames out. The flying wing yaws hard, control slipping away. Ziller fights the stick, tries to bring it back, but the machine rolls and slams into the ground beyond the runway. He does not survive. The loss is more than personal. With Ziller gone, the Ho 229's only proven pilot is lost. The airframe is wrecked. Production lines at Gotha are already crippled by shortages. Aluminum, skilled labour, even glue. With Soviet and American forces closing in, the third prototype sits unfinished, vulnerable. Every hour, the window narrows. For Allied intelligence, the race is no longer theoretical. If they want the Horten secrets, they have to move, now. April 14th, 1945. Captain William M. Williams leads his convoy through the battered outskirts of Gotha. Engines idling low, headlights blacked out. His orders are precise. Reach the Horten facility before Soviet patrols, secure anything that looks like a flying wing, and get out within 72 hours. The team moves fast. wary of tripwires and demolition charges rumoured to be hidden in abandoned hangars. Bomb-sniffing dogs sweep the entrances, each pause stretching the nerves tighter. Inside, the V3 prototype sits unfinished. Steel frame exposed, composite panels stacked nearby, technical drawings scattered across a workbench. Williams' men photograph every angle, tag every part, and start crating the airframe for transport. No time for ceremony. Each crate is loaded onto trucks bound west, under armed guards, destination classified. Within 3 days, the last trace of the Horten project in Germany disappears behind the American lines. The race for the future has a new front, and it now belongs to the victors. At Wright-Patterson, engineers pried open the crates and found more than just a prototype. They found a puzzle. Technical teams pulled wind tunnel charts from the files, each curve and data point hinting at performance numbers decades ahead of anything in Allied service. The Flying Wing's drag coefficients and lift ratios didn't just break rules, they rewrote them. Material samples told another story. The skin wasn't ordinary plywood. It was a laminated composite, layered with resin and traces of carbon, built to save weight, but also, as the data showed, to scatter radar. X-rays confirmed a structure that absorbed and diffused signals, lowering the radar cross-section by as much as 40% compared to conventional fighters. For the analysts, this was a revelation. Northrop's engineers, years later, would reference these findings in internal memos, quietly acknowledging that the DNA of the B-2 Spirit could be traced, curve for curve, to the Horten's wind tunnel results. Peter Merton, a B-2 test pilot, put it simply: our planform owes its DNA to what the Horten brothers sketched in 1944. On April 14th, 1945, Allied forces seized the Horten Ho 229-3 prototype, an aircraft that, on paper, could fly faster and farther than any Allied fighter, armed with twin-jet engines and 30mm cannons. Captured German documents and test reports showed a projected 40% reduction in radar cross-section, echoing design features later seen in the B-2 Spirit, which first flew in 1989. Yet no surviving wartime file conclusively proves the Horten brothers aimed for radar invisibility. Much of their intent and technical data remain lost or still classified. What is clear is that the Flying Wing design challenged conventional thinking and forced Allied engineers to rethink the future of military aviation. Today, the Ho 229 stands not just as a relic, but as evidence that technological leaps can rewrite the rules of warfare, sometimes decades ahead of their time.